What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the Sword and Shield market, and we'll start with Sword and Shield base because this is a box. If we look at TCG player graph, it's around $458, but realistically this is about a $550 booster box at this point. I think the lowest listed box on eBay right now is $570 USD, and we don't see a ton of sales on this box, so I think it's going to be a while before the TCG player graph catches up to realistically where market is at this point. And a similar thing can be said for Rebel Clash. I think this box is probably closer to $350 at this point. But again, it's a box that doesn't sell too often on eBay or TCG player, so it might take a while for us to get up to that 350 level on TCG player. Now, a couple interesting boxes I want to talk about this week are Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage. These are boxes that are normally overlooked by investors. The first 4 sets from Sword and Shield, maybe even the first 5, because Battle Styles is kind of meh, but the first 4 were quite bad sets. People really didn't enjoy them. There's not a lot of chase cards inside of them, but these sets are still moving. Vivid Voltage is up to $220. That's actually higher than Battle Styles, sitting around $203, $204. And Darkness Ablaze is up to $256. And it actually had a fairly decent sell-through rate this week. I think it was more than double what it was last week. It was quite low. But out of every single box I tracked this week from Sword and Shield era, Darkness Ablaze had the highest inventory remaining out of any of the booster boxes. And it was only at like 30.5 days or something of remaining inventory. And it's very rare to see that being like the highest amount, if that makes sense. Normally we'll have one around 40, 50, 80 days. For the ETBs, we've seen inventory remaining of over 100 for something like Shining Fates before. And I'd say just the general trend for all of Sword and Shield at this point, not just the alt art sets, but all of Sword and Shield, is less boxes on the market. People are buying them up. Sell-through rate was down this week on most boxes, but the supply of those purchases wasn't being replenished. Some people were taking down quantity listings. And I'm not saying that Sword and Shield booster boxes are going to go crazy anytime soon, but they are week over week. We're seeing less boxes on the market, and they're getting closer and closer to ranges where they could potentially make a move. And when we looked at Paldea Evolved last week, I did say that Paldea Evolved had the potential to run up to like 400. And if that was the case, we'd probably see some of these alt art sets start to make a move again at that point. Or Paldea Evolved could kind of normalize around that like 350 to 375 range. I've had a couple people comment that some of the Pokemon vending machines are getting more Paldea Evolved booster boxes. And that could potentially lead to a scenario like what we're seeing in One Piece right now with OPO5 Awakening the New Era getting restocked at some Bandai stores in the US, bringing the price down on those. I don't think we'd see that drastic of a move in Paldea Evolved. Anything that hits the market's probably going to get bought up fairly quickly, but I do imagine that some people probably are going to scalp those vending machines and then flip those products quickly. And if that's the case, we're probably going to see Paldea Evolved not really push that 400 range for a while. And then in response to that, it might take a little bit longer for Sword and Shield to get activated, but that's not really something to worry about too much. And to get through the rest of this video, I won't talk about Battle Styles and Chilling Reign. These sets really didn't do a lot this week. We had some sales, but sell-through rate was down. There's less boxes for both of these on the market. There's less boxes for basically every set other than I think Brilliant Stars, which had like 2 more boxes in terms of total quantity below a 20% leg up. So Chilling Reign and Battle Styles just doing their thing. Evolving Skies, less boxes. Sell-through rate was down though, but keep an eye on it. It's just going to continue to climb over time. Fusion Strike actually moved from I think like 11 or 12 days down to around 9. So if there's any box I'd be paying attention to right now, it's probably going to be your Fusion Strike. To give you guys a sneak peek into the spreadsheet data, there's only 39 booster boxes of Fusion Strike currently listed below $883 on eBay Buy It Now North America. And that's not a lot. That's a little over 6 cases. Now, Brilliant Stars, again, I said there were a couple more boxes on the market this week. Sell-through rate was kind of meh. I really wouldn't be worrying about Brilliant Stars right now. And if a move does happen in Sword and Shield, you guys got to remember, the front runners are always going to be your Evolving Skies. They're going to be your Fusion Strike. And then maybe after that, like Lost Origin will start to activate. Chilling Reign. I think it's really rare for us to see something like Brilliant Stars pop off first, at least right now. When we looked maybe like a couple months ago when there wasn't a ton of boxes out there, it kind of made sense that Brilliant Stars would be at the front of the pack. But now, just based on where supply and sell-through rate is, I don't think Brilliant Stars is going to be one of the first boxes to move. Same thing with Astral Radiance. These are fairly similar in price now, like only a couple dollar difference. So if you guys were considering getting either of these, I'd recommend going with Brilliant Stars if you can get them for the same price. That would just be my recommendation. You guys can do whatever you want. Moving on to Lost Origin, this is another box. It's an interesting situation where sell-through rate was down, but there was also a lot less supply below a 20% leg up. I think there was less than 6 cases of this below $600 on the open market, which again is not a lot of boxes when you consider that there's maybe like 400 million people that can buy on eBay North America. And then the final box we'll talk about, Silver Tempest, again, just doing its thing, not doing anything crazy, but slowly chewing through supply, and it's going to move up with all the other boxes as time goes on. Not my favorite set. I love the Lugia alt art, but outside of that, there really isn't too much that interests me. I think most collectors and investors kind of agree with that outside the Lugia and then maybe the Rayquaza. Silver Tempest is not one of the deeper sets. If you guys didn't see my short, my second Evolving Skies booster box came in this week. I've been saying recently that I still think Evolving Skies over the next 3 to 5 years is probably going to be one of, if not the best performing set from the Sword and Shield era. And if I'm going to tell you guys that, I need to have more skin in the game. So I decided to get a second box. I have been selling off a lot of my Divergent Powers tins that had the Evolving Skies packs in them. I think outside these 2 boxes, I have 15 sleep packs, another like 15 loose packs, and that's pretty much it for my Evolving Skies position at this point. And I'm considering getting a third box, but I might also just put that money into a blue bottom Romance Dawn box. If you guys know, I have a second channel covering One Piece investing, and Romance Dawn, the blue bottoms, again, you could have bought these for $100 like 3 years ago, and that would have been a great time to buy some cases. But these are just continuing to move up. Also, Bandai is moving the first 4 sets out of rotation next year. So Romance Dawn, Paramount War, Pillars of Strength, and Kingdoms of Intrigue will be going out. And we presume that that means they're not going to be getting reprinted ever again. Also, the blue bottoms were wave 1 and they had some error cards, so they did a wave 2 with white bottoms. So the blue bottoms are quite rare. But that's going to be it for the update this week. You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious if you guys had, say, $5,000 US or $3,000 US, which booster box or boxes would you buy from the Sword and Shield era right now? With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.